So a lot's being made about the Ryan Garcia situation over at the Zone. Boxing media, man, we've got a very and even boxing fans are just very fickle. We forget. We forget relatively quick about the things that we were just saying. It's all over our social media. We only have to go back a few months and you'll find it on your timeline. October of last year, Patrick Day passes away, and I mean, everybody, for the most part, during that tragedy had the same sentiment. Boxers deserve every penny they get when they step into the ring. We're passing the buck onto Ryan right now, right? We're saying, the kid's spoiled. He doesn't deserve it. He should just go in there and take less. If he's the real deal, what does it matter? When in reality, we know what the cost is. And listen, this is not to say that this is not a vastly difficult situation. If we could figure this out as it relates to boxing, we could figure it out as it relates to anything. But nonetheless, to make it seem just because he's Ryan Garcia, just because he is the physical embodiment of everything that we do not like in the next generation coming up. Entitled, brash, so on and so forth, self-centered, this whole new generation. We don't like it, let's be honest. Nonetheless, the kid is going out there to fight, get punched in the head for a living. His fights are no less real or fake than anybody else's. And knowing what we just came from in the case of Patrick Day and in the case of Dadashev and all the other guys that have passed away, even over the last year. If you made a comment like that on social media, fighters deserve every penny that they get. Shut up. Shut up. You can't say nothing about Ryan Garcia. Right? The kid built his brand, got signed, took a contract, just recently was unhappy, renegotiated his contract. Okay, obviously came to something that some sort, because it looked really bad at some point. Came to some kind of agreement, got offered a minimum. The minimum is $200,000. So he had an expected amount of money that he was looking to make. He was expecting a certain type of fight to be coming down the pipeline for him. They're offering him $200,000. And now listen, I understand what the contract says, the black and white, if that is the minimum. But me, personally, I don't want any fighter stepping into the ring disgruntled, feeling like they should be getting more, feeling like they're getting the short end of the stick, feeling like they're being coerced by the media, by the fans, so on and so forth. I don't want to see that sport. Right? Because then we're watching something else. There's something more sinister happening. It's very difficult. I mean, if you're a person that's looking to make the world a utopia, so to speak, right? If you're one of these people that just isn't comfortable with the harsh realities of life, it might be hard to justify your promotion of this sport by way of, working in the sport or watching or supporting or buying it. But at the very least, you can say, you know what? These fighters are doing it of their own volition. They are taking a risk. They are athletically gifted. There's some beauty to it. And with this risk, they run the potential to be handsomely rewarded and to be content. So you allow these people to go out there and fight. If they ain't content, I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't want to watch it. Regardless of what the minimum is. Now, on the other end, these companies are exactly what they sound like. They are companies. One championship in the MMA. We've seen, the news came out today. This can happen to any boxing promotional outfit. It can happen. regardless of what side you're on, regardless of who you're fanboying for. They can, either any one of them can go under. Because the problem is so complex, and these people are trying to run a business, and I would bet that the people at ESPN and the people at Fox, the suits that have nothing to do with boxing, are probably telling people right now is not the time to be hemorrhaging money. And boxing without a gate, competitive matches with big name guys, is a losing proposition. It just is. Somebody's going to have to give. So either. And then listen. You got the other side of the coin. You've got the guy looking at it from the perspective that's not Ryan Garcia. The guy right up under Ryan Garcia, maybe the Virgil Ortiz, that's saying, you know what? I'll take the short money. I'll take the short money, and I'll go out there, and I'll put together 3-4 easy wins in this period of time. And by the time we go back to where we need to be, if Ryan sat out, by the time we get back to it, I'll be right where Ryan's at. That's the gamble. But I want Virgil. I hope you can understand what I'm saying. I want Virgil to want to do that. I want Virgil to want to be in the ring that night, to understand that night what it is that he's trying to accomplish over the course of the next few fights. Not disgruntled that night for that fight. And it doesn't stop with Ryan. Bud recently came out. Terrence Crawford, right? We'll move on to the next subject real quick, if it even is. Okay, Bud's comments, right, on Fighting for Less. This is a guy, arguably, you could say he's the number one fighter in the world, but top 3, top 5 if you don't have some sort of weird agenda, right? This is a quote from Terrence Crawford. "Just don't try and tell me I have to take a pay cut because of a pandemic. I don't feel that's right when I've already went through what I had to go through coming up. Now you're going to tell me to go back to ground one and take a pay cut. I just don't feel like I can do that." So this is a guy, at the absolute top. We're not seeing anything being moved in Canelo's direction either. We don't know anything over there either. Bud is not budging. If Ryan's looking up to Bud and seeing what's going on up there, he sees he ain't budging. If Ryan's seeing Canelo's situation, he ain't budging. I don't think these fighters are looking at it from a philanthropic, some shit like that. Whatever, fuck it. Let's go with that, philanthropic standpoint. But I think these guys are, let's just say as a side effect of Ryan Garcia holding his ground, every fighter under him is offered a little bit of protection because nobody can say, hey, you're being unreasonable. Ryan, who's much bigger than you, just went ahead and did it. Ryan, you're being unreasonable. Bud just went ahead and did it. Bud, you're being unreasonable. You understand what I'm saying? Does Ryan have a moral obligation to do that? If that is the case, I don't know. I don't have the answers to these questions. All I'm saying, this is the only point that I and we went off on a tangent again. The only point that I want to make is that it isn't open and shut for sure. It isn't, oh, this guy's being greedy. It isn't, oh, these promoters, they just need to fucking pay. That's not how it is. That's just not the way it fucking works. And I don't have the answers. I don't know. Maybe you start up a GoFundMe for certain fights. I don't know. If you're top ranked, you say, listen, based on public interest, if we could raise up this much money for this fight, we can make it happen. I don't know if you're PBC, whatever. But the point is, which leads me to the second part of the conversation, I think that this is really interesting.